All right, Friday's here already. To watch this video for Friday, October 26th. Decent bounce in the SPY. Had a small gap up from that ugly close yesterday and ate into a good portion of yesterday's losses, giving a little bit back at the end of the day. So, am I bullish, bearish? I honestly don't know. I mean, overall, this chart looks fairly ugly. Kind of a strong day today, but you got to take into consideration after hours. Amazon, which these are the daily candles of Amazon, at 1782 is where it closed, and after hours it ended up down at 1650. So significantly, let's see, well, slightly I should say, below the 200-day there. And let's see, what was the recent low? 1656. Slightly below the recent low from that ugly day in the SPY too. So who knows? It's certainly when Amazon has, I don't know what the earnings said, but when Amazon disappoints on earnings, which the chart is telling us, that could affect the market again. So as a day trader, I'm in cash every night, log in and try to find individual setups as the day unfolds. And you guys in the chat room make that pretty easy because there's usually somebody spotting something that we look for. So had a couple nice trades early today, and then didn't do much the rest of the day, and ready to start all over again tomorrow. What am I watching tomorrow? PTI just goes on bounce watch again. Really big rip here, then sold off a little bit, bounced, and then an offering, I think somewhere in the sixes. I don't remember the exact number, but with this good news behind it and now this big pullback, I think it's a great candidate to watch for a bounce. It's down here in what we call the buy zone between the 8 and the 20-day. So a good candidate for a bounce tomorrow. PETX had this nice 2-day move and now 2 days lower on declining volume. Certainly worth watching. PLAG, huge crazy move. Nobody knew why. Nice secondary move and now a couple red days. Pretty low volume today, all things considered. Again, I don't look at this chart and fall in love with it, but because it made a move from 3 to over 11, about 4 sessions ago. Now we're back down here in that area between the 8 and the 20-day I just talked about, and actually hitting the 200-day from up above too. Absolutely a good candidate to watch tomorrow. It's one that we can get, if we can get it to trade in a narrow range and then rip through the high of day, and if you're sitting there watching it and your finger's on the trigger and you're ready to go, you might get a little mini short squeeze there. So it is worth watching, even though it's a little bit crazy, right? LUV, I had this actually on Bounce Watch. A lot of people might look at this and say, well, look, today it broke this support from June, right? And that's true, but it also found buying at the end of the day, and it's fallen from almost 61 about a week ago to 40, to under 50, 49.91. And the other airlines don't look that weak, so I think this is a good candidate with this kind of selling, taking out recent lows for a good candidate for a snapback bounce. Remember, I'm a day trader, so I'm looking for stuff to trade tomorrow. I'm not. None of these are investment ideas. TTNP had a really nice move from 20 cents to over 60. Couple red days now, back down near the 8-day. Worth watching for a bounce tomorrow. NDRA, decent looking strength when you consider the overall market, how weak it is. You just got a few consecutive lower highs after a nice move. Pretty good candidate for a continuation of today's bounce tomorrow. Let's see, NDRA, what's next? RGSE, kind of interesting because a few sessions ago, massive volume for this stock and topped out at 41. Then it looked like sellers were coming right back in, and then the third day, right back up. So this is a good candidate for a possible breakout of this area. TRVG, gapped up yesterday on earnings, sold off. Today gaps down a little and has this big engulfing candle to the upside. Certainly interesting on the chart. Over 650, which it almost hit 650 today, but great relative strength. We want to watch that one too. See, this is kind of obscure, but if I go to 15-minute candles, it's gotten a couple really big volume moves here, and then kind of quietly grinding higher the last couple days. But you will notice yesterday afternoon it kind of had a push, and then today a couple pushes, and it's kind of holding up pretty well. So I will point out that today's candle only traded 197,000 shares. So it is a thin one. But if it's going to give a setup that maybe test this 200-day or maybe is going to jump up and retest the highs from that pop over 9, I certainly want to have it on watch. Thin stock though, so be careful. Watch your position size if you trade that at all. NVIDIA, I was out of the office at midday when this thing gave a perfect setup back through 200. Missed it. and gave a nice move all the way to 209.75. It is down in after hours. It looks like it closed out around 202 something. So I don't know if that was Amazon spooking the market or if Nvidia had its own individual news, but I do want to watch it. I mean, it's fallen a long way. Nice solid green day. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If it gaps down, I honestly we'll have to wait and see if it gives an intraday A+ setup. And then lastly, Mosy, MOSY, had this huge gap down, little attempted spike breaking out of this out of this island here up into the gap, and then it flagged for a little bit. Now big volume today and closing pretty strong. So maybe a follow-through day in that one tomorrow. That's everything I'm going to watch. We'll add some gappers in the pre-market to that as well, and we'll see y'all in chat tomorrow. Have a good night.